Welcome to Calm and Clarity Conversations, where we are exploring the real stories behind the people who lead and build and grow, especially when the path is not always clear. Today, I am joined by a good friend, an amazing woman, a fantastic client, and she's also a creative strategist. Her name is Angela Lewis. She's the founder of Savvy Designs and Pink Elephant Solutions, and she is someone who I can say confidently helps leaders move from overwhelm to momentum, mostly by getting honest fast. And whenever I have the opportunity to speak with Angela, things tend to very quickly get real. So buckle up and let's go. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad to
Uh,
be here.
You are welcome. I am so glad that we get to have this conversation and share your light and what you were doing in the world with our audience. And speaking of your light, let's talk about your perception of your light and who you are. And I'm going to switch from light to sound here, but when the noise fades, when the light dims, and you set your profiles like your LinkedIn profile and all that aside, and you set other expectations from other people aside. Who is Angela?
Ooh, I'm a servant leader. I can't help it. I'm a teacher. I can't help that either. So if I can help someone by giving them the knowledge that I have soaked up, that's the best thing that I can do. If I can take my shirt off my back and give it to someone who doesn't have, that's what that's what Angela is.
So that's what Angela is. How does that lead to Angela doing business or stepping out into entrepreneurship? Like where did you come from and where are you going with that? Like what is that transition for you?
Ooh, so with me, I'm faith-based, and one of the things that I did, I wanted to help my family, but I didn't know how. I was homeschooling, and I said I wanted to um, and not I wanted to help businesses be successful, but when I prayed it, I didn't know what that meant,
Mhm.
right? I didn't know how to make them successful. I just wanted them to be successful in whatever capacity that is, and I still do that to this day. That was 2017 when I said that.
Okay, so it's been a minute since there. What was your
Yes.
career before that?
I have always contracted myself to organizations. I've only had two jobs in my life. I was in the medical field and working with six orthopedic surgeons as their medical assistant. Again, helping people. My first job, helping people. I love sneakers, so hey, if I can get someone else to get a pair of sneakers, I can get a pair of sneakers. And then my next job was working with, I worked at a kennel. It was called Kitty Condos and Kennels. And because I loved animals. But then I found out that flies bite and animals stunk. And that was not a cute way to go.
It was you were like, I want to help the animals, but I don't want to be bit by flies. I don't want to deal with bad smells. Get me out of here.
Yeah, and then some, strays came in with fleas. I couldn't bring fleas home. So, yeah, that job lasted for 2 weeks.
Right. And now I would argue that you've had another job as well. You've been an amazing mom.
Yes, I am now have been a mom for 22 years now. Out of those 22 years, we've homeschooled. So both of my kids have graduated from homeschool. And this spring, I will have two college graduates.
Wow. Congratulations. That says not only have you had that as a job, but you've done it well.
Thank you. Yeah, one is at one of the Big Ten universities, and the other one is in culinary school doing what they love.
That is incredible. So they're pursuing their dreams. You are helping other people pursue theirs by pursuing yours. So what does your dream look like? When you look forward and you say, "Okay, I'm a servant leader. I want to help." What does that mean to you now?
So what my biggest dream, like the ultimate dream, is to live on three continents. And in
At the
those,
same time?
yeah, so it would be, throughout seasons or wherever is the busiest season for that country.
Okay.
So the spring summer shift,
Oh, right, right.
right? So that's when everything is
Are
waking
they
up.
three specific continents?
Yeah, yeah. So North America, South America, and then some Arabic country.
Okay.
Um, but the reason why is because they have enough of the same type of technology where I don't have to go too primal. However, I can use very um, simplified instructions in order for them to get where they need to go.
Mm.
So if it's to rebuild in an area where um, you can invest and buy back something or acquire and buy back something, where you can create a product or service where now you are serving your community and you can use people that are homeless or down and out, need a hand up, that you can create a service for them to come in to serve others. So it's a hand in hand kind of situation. That's what I want to do. So I like win, 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 wins. I don't just like a win-win. I like
Right, right. There got to
everybody
be a
to
string of
win.
wins.
It has to be a string of wins. Otherwise, what's the point?
Fair enough. When we talk about your businesses, one of the things that jumps out, and I know a little bit of the story behind this, but I'm going to ask you to share it with the audience. Pink Elephant Solutions. What's the story behind that name?
Okay, so when I was in high school, I was very long and lanky, barely 99 pounds, and I had big feet. Used to run track. However, I was clumsy. So, and I was goofy. So when I did trip in the hallway, I didn't want it to seem like, oh my gosh, that's the clumsiest chick I've ever seen. It's like, oh, stupid pink elephants. And I named it like it wasn't. And so I had my friends saying pink elephant in high school. And then a couple of years ago, I think it was like two years now, um, I was in bed and it was like an epiphany happened. And I said, oh my gosh, those pink elephants that I was tripping over in high school, those are the same pink elephants that my clients are tripping over in business. And the thing is, I came up with that one because it's the elephant in the room, right? You can't miss it. It's big, it's pink, it makes noise. You can't avoid it. And pink elephants are a real occurrence in nature, not like a unicorn. You know how people say, I'm a unicorn, I'm a unicorn. No, unicorns don't exist. But pink elephants do. It's 1 in 0.007 occurrences in nature that pink elephants do exist. And it's almost like albinoism in elephants. So imagine being in a herd of gray elephants and this pink one appears. No matter whether it's a baby, a teenager, or a full-grown adult, you will know that that elephant is different from the rest. And that's the clients that I kind of attract, the ones that took the road less traveled, the ones that were the sore thumb, the ones that didn't quite fit in, the misfits that didn't do well in school, but they do amazing in business. They're innovative. They're not doing what everyone else is doing. So that's where Pink Elephant came from.
That is beautiful. I love the breadth of that story and how it comes from your high school experience all the way through to the actual elephants and now the things that your clients are dealing with. And that difference, that sense of being different, or I understand it pretty well too. I was different. They might have put more quotes around it for me, right? He's different, right? The tone matters there. But for you, as you realized you were different, what is the moment that you realized that not only your difference, but your voice would challenge the room that you were in a different way?
Oh, I started paying attention to other people. And I guess that's just me reading the room and being in the rooms that I was in. I've been working since I was 7 with my grandmother.
Wow.
So yeah, so I know like she was an actress, she catered, she worked for the government, and all of these rooms you're meeting different people. But I noticed that I was an observer and I was a helper. And 16 was the first time that I actually helped someone because of what I saw and what I heard. So that's when I realized, oh, I'm a visual
What
communicator.
was that like?
It flows so easily that I didn't realize it was a thing. So I'm sitting at I had took my little sister out for her birthday and we're in IHOP and she looks older than I. And so he was trying to figure it out and I'm listening to his voice. And I said, you should be an announcer. He said, why? I said, because I hear it in your voice. I said, either radio or communications or something like that. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Because he had this very bouncy, strong voice. He said, you know what? I thought about that, but I didn't think I could. I said, you really should. That should be what you're doing. And that's when I noticed, I said, oh, that's a little different. Most people don't do that. Or I can see how people treat you, and I can see whether that should be hospitality, the way you move. You have creatives that like to do a whole bunch of stuff, and they don't realize they're not supposed to be the executors. They're just supposed to be the directors.
Mm.
So I started to see little ways that I was helping people, and I just wanted to do that a little bit more. And as I've been honing it, that's why I said, okay, that's where I'm a little different.
I love those connections all the way through. And the fact that it started so young is amazing. As you've grown through these conversations, you had a conversation with the leader at 16 and were able to make a nudge and maybe change that person's life forever. Now that you look at the conversations you have, what's one that you think most leaders avoid, but you always bring up? Because I know you bring up the things, right?
Yeah.
So what's one that everybody wants to run away from that you go, no, 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 we're going to talk about that.
Um, Confidence is one. Just because they appear to be one way or appear to be at a certain status doesn't mean that they have the confidence that they are. So, like imposter syndrome is something that we talk about, and then execution. So they might have a lot of ideas, but they don't have the security enough to go through and follow those ideas. So they'll just let those ideas disappear and just stick with the thing. Again, they're not necessarily supposed to be the doers of the thing. They need to learn how to execute. So there are ways that I help people go through the ideation, creation, execution, delegation phase. Because just because you know how to do it doesn't mean that you have to do it. And once we figure out what that is, you might be great at it, but that's not your thing. So I try to help them realize what those things are, and that's the subjects because they don't want to let them go. They don't want the thing to go because this is my baby and I do everything and I wear all of the hats. So that's kind of where we start and finish. How do I help you execute better? So now us as the consumer end user get the best part of you, and then you don't have burnout. So it's a long conversation to get them from ideation to avoiding to execution to avoiding burnout and creating.
Yeah, it's such a critical discussion path, and I agree with you that so many people run away from that because it's not the easiest conversation. And as we have had, part of that conversation is you've got to be able to focus. You can't do all the things, and if you try and do
Right.
all the things, you do none of the things.
Oh yeah. And I use your Dan methods because remember, focus was an F word for me. Oh,
I remember it was like it had four letters, not five, when we talked.
because I used to get it in such a negative way. It 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 made me it was a trigger. And I didn't know it was a trigger until you said it, because, our conversations. But when you said it, I'm like, oh, he's telling me the same thing that everybody else has been telling me. Angela, if you just focus. And so once we got over the F word part, right? Um, it started being a little bit clearer. And what we changed it to was direct your attention to,
Right.
not the F word. We're going to shift our direction to, or we're going to pivot over to here so that F word didn't have to come
Right.
out.
Shift your lens, right?
Yeah, shift your lens, focus over here. Um, or let's do this now.
Right.
And it wasn't that I wasn't focusing, I was hyper focused.
Hmm.
So most people can focus on one thing or two. I was focusing on 12. So at all times, I am
But you were
juggling.
alternating between them, which is remarkably inefficient.
Yes. So I'm constantly juggling apples and Rubik's cubes at
Yeah.
the same
And it's
time.
exhausting.
It's exhausting. I love it in a way because with the Rubik's cubes, I'm solving problems, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I haven't, I'm not there yet. Let me put this one down and pick this one up. Okay, let me get, but with the apples, someone will give me a fruit. They're like, oh, it's a peach. I know how to make apples. Here's the apple that you were looking for. So the apples are the easier parts that I
Right.
do, but the Rubik's cubes are the ones I'm like, okay,
Those are more
that's where,
fun. And we get, look,
yeah,
we get a dopamine hit because if you think of it as an example where you're standing on a hill and looking around and there's lots of fires, and we love trying to put all those out because we get a little dopamine hit by putting a little bit of help in each one of them. Unfortunately, the fires keep burning and so they consume us eventually, and that's that exhausting part coming in. Now,
really cute story. I had I did this like persona thing just to break the ice to people and or make a sad conversation a little light. And I said, I prevent forest fires. And they said, really? I said, yes, I have a shovel. I have a pair of overalls, and Smokey the Bear appointed me. You heard him. He was on television. He said, you. And when he said you, he was talking directly to me. And I used to get people to laugh so hard that they would forget whatever it was. So it's interesting that you say fire.
oh, that's a state change right there. I love that state change. Now, that's how you work with other people. When you think about you as an entrepreneur who you're also a heart-centered human, that's very important.
Yes,
What is the biggest challenge you find yourself facing on a daily basis?
myself. That is my biggest challenge. If I get out of my way, a lot of things will go a lot smoother. Um, as I said, I hyper focus. So that's in a negative way and a positive way. So if something doesn't come in the way I want it to, or if I cannot solve a problem as fast as I believe I should solve a problem, I then go to the next Rubik's. I had to learn how to go to that next Rubik's cube because it's no longer an apple. And for me, um, the Rubik's Cube, like I said, Rubik's Cubes are the hardest to solve for me because I'm not looking at it fully. And I'm still concentrating on these other ones so I can get other things done so I'm not procrastinating.
Mhm.
Right? I never want to be a procrastinator. I want to keep things moving. And so for me, it's a daily battle, what I call an entrepreneurial roller coaster that I'm on where, oh my God, I'm having a great day. And sometimes I'm waking up because I have an idea and I want to write it down, da, 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 da. And other days I wake up, oh my gosh, this needs to get done. This needs to get done. How am I going to get this done? And why am I doing this? What road did I walk down or did I say yes to? And now I have to figure out this thing that I've never done in my entire life, but I have to solve the problem. So it's a whole 12-person conversation that I'm having with myself on a daily basis to
Some people
solve
talk to
problems.
themselves, you talk to all of yourselves.
Talk to all of me.
As you described that, I can feel the movement and maybe even at times the freneticism behind it. So we all have different definitions. But for you, what does calm mean and what does it feel like?
Ooh, I love calm days. Calm days are so good. Shalom, peace. Where your mind is in flow. Everything is in flow. Your conversations go well. You're uplifting people. I'm not only pouring out, I'm being poured into, and that keeps my spirit calm. When I'm creating, my spirit is calm. Um, when money flows, cash flows, when everything is flowing, conversations and everything is quote unquote balance. Not necessarily, because you can have some rough roads in some rough waters in your flow, but if everything is going in the same direction, those days are the best. I get more accomplished and calm.
Mm. You work with a lot of high capacity, high speed people. How do you
Yes.
stay grounded yourself?
and helping them. Um, if I can help them get to calm, that helps me. If I can help them get to clarity, that helps me. If I can help them to be confident, um, that pours back into me. So it's not um, a one-sided conversation. I'm actually helping myself by seeing me in them to solve the problem that they have. So one of the things I do is learn how people learn in order to teach them the thing they need to know so they can decide for themselves what to do. And when I get that, oh gosh, oh, that feels so good.
Learn how people learn so you can teach them what they need to know. I love that. It's such a beautiful encapsulation of process. That said, you've had lots of moments of calm. You can talk about getting grounded. Has there been a time when calm felt maybe almost completely unavailable to you?
Oh yes.
Oh,
Like I
yeah, oh
said,
yeah. She's like,
oh,
oh yeah, that's not a question.
oh yeah. Um, because I'm not completely in the stage of stability, because I'm still doing the shift for Pink Elephant. Still doing savvy designs, because that's what I'm known for. But Pink Elephant is ever changing right now. Um, and there are things where again I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm doing PR and publicist things right now. This is something that I wanted to do when I created my agency. That causes panic because I'm looking to provide a service for someone and I'm starting from zero, right? This is not like something that I do every day. I used to be in rooms all the time where I'm rubbing shoulders with these people, but I don't do that anymore. And that causes panic for me because, again, I'm trying to solve something in a specific amount of time in my head that needs to be solved for these people. I want it all on my desk and off my desk in the same breath. Um, but in those times, there's not flow. So that's not flowing what I'm doing. That's not cash flow. That's not being centered. That's not um, understanding that who I am and giving myself grace. Those are times where no calm does not happen,
Right. That's
especially
the
when,
whirlwind, right?
yeah, that's that entrepreneurial, you know, and the pipelines are, I have a whole bunch of pipelines, a whole bunch of irons on the fire, and I'm doing everything, but I'm cooking, but the food is on simmer.
Right, right. The consistency of flow isn't there, right? That's the
Yeah.
maturity of business over time creates consistency. Otherwise, you can get this big splash of good stuff, and then you can get a drip here, and then you get like, wait a minute, why is everything cooking on the stove and none of it's done yet? And getting to that moment, and I get how that can bring a lack of calm, how that can put you into that space. And it can also be challenging because what you're doing is you're building a new company can be complex or it can feel
Oh yeah.
complex, right? Trying to make it easy is good. One of the things you do is you work with your clients and you've said this a couple of times is, hey, I help them not feel like things are so hard or so complex. How do you help clients? You've talked about how you do it for yourself, but how do you help clients separate confusion from complexity?
One of the easiest, 'cause remember I said I'm a visual communicator. One of the easiest ways I explain why um, people are able to do the thing, but they can't see the thing
Hmm.
is because if you think about yourself in an art gallery and you're standing in front of a picture, you yourself are inside of the picture. So you can't see all of the things that are in your background. You can't see what's coming. You can't see anything behind you. You can only look to your left and your right. But when you have someone in front of you that says, "Oh, there's someone in your picture that has a knife and is stabbing on your back. Don't talk to them." Or, there's a hurricane in the distance, um, getting them to understand um, shift happens, right? How do we prepare for this shift? right? How do we ground ourselves? How do we get a firm foundation in the thing that we do? How do we stand tall in what we are and who we are? A lot of my clients are very humble. So they are background people. They don't necessarily want to be on the mic. They don't want to have their own podcast. They'll be a guest, but they don't want to run the show. I'm starting to get them into being confident in who they are and their abilities. And this is even with high net worth individuals. It's just not their shtick. And then we find out what their shtick is, understanding who they are. So mine is more of a personal development and professional development in the same breath. So how do we get you as a person to be confident enough in what you're doing, seeing who you are, making decisions based on what you want, not what others think, and move forward that way.
Mm. Being able to guide others through that transition is a gift. It's important. It's a crystal clear need. And I think it relates to something I believe that I saw you once said, we see distant things to get a closer view. How can
Absolutely.
that was you? Yeah. So how can you maybe share a time when for you perspective shifted everything? Where's a time when you shifted a perspective? You're doing it for others, but what about you? And you saw something different and it changed your world.
Oh, that helps with coaching. Um, I've learned that your gift isn't meant for you. So I had to go and seek, and I've done it for years, and I thank God for you, Dan, because you were the only one that hit all of the ticks.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I had to seek guidance for myself, like coaches need coaches. I'm not a coach, you know that. I've never put that title on myself. But just to give you an example, like coaches need coaches, therapists need therapists, um, trainers need trainers. And I had to realize, no, I do not have all the answers. I needed someone to stand outside of my picture and say, hey, Angela, this is what's going on. Don't do that because there's a hole behind you. Walk forward, not backwards. Um, and you were one of the ones who have helped me tremendously get through that. So I appreciate you because oh gosh, how many times have I called you and I was not in calm? The
I,
panic Angela is not cute.
and yet your light still shines. I'm honored to be part of that journey. And you were one of the earlier members of our strategic momentum coaching group. And for those who want to know more about that, this isn't a dialogue so much about that group, but I will put the link in the description. But we were one of the earliest members there, and we were able to have what feels like countless conversations. And I'm grateful for that and grateful to see your movement through that
Yeah,
journey.
yeah, it was a beautiful journey. I didn't realize that I didn't realize that I was in a shift and there was a pivot that needed to happen, and I was torn between the two. Do I want to start this new thing and be all in this new thing and let the old thing that I've been doing go? But as I tell my clients, you are you all day, right? Whether you are a mom who homeschools and drives really fast and loves to hang out on the weekend and be outside with her shoes off, or a guy in the military who never smokes, never drinks, goes out with his family, has really big events, and that's you, right? But all in all, I'm a mom, I'm an aunt, I'm a sister. I'm a daughter, I'm a granddaughter, I'm a great granddaughter. I homeschool, I'm an artist, a web developer. It's a lot of hats that I wear, and then none of them take away from who I am. I just learn how to switch them instead of wearing them all at the same time.
Makes them be a lot less heavy if you're not wearing them all at the same time. That's for
Oh, I tried. I tried. So yeah,
yes. I think
with
we had
your
those
help.
discussions too.
Yeah, with your help, I no longer try to wear all of them at the same time.
I'm glad for that. And I must say you look very good in those hats.
Thank
They look good, but
you.
it looks a lot better when you're not wearing 30 of them at once because that gets a little cluttered up there.
Oh my gosh, yes. Between the hair and the hats, yes.
There you are. Now, when when you, let's take the other side of this, when you are beginning to actually gain momentum, when do you know you're gaining momentum, not just moving fast? Because I think a lot of people move
Ooh.
fast without gaining momentum.
Momentum is for me when I have all of my clients booked, when I have all of my clients shaking their head at the same time, like, yeah, that's what I needed to hear, or, oh, thank you for solving that problem, or thank you for connecting me. And I'm doing this and it's going really well. Again, in flow. Everything is moving. All of my clients are aligned. I am aligned. That's when that momentum hits. But then comes someone that throws that rock, and I'm looking for an apple, and they give me a rock, and I'm like, well, I don't know about this
Like I
rock,
know it
but
didn't have to be a Rubik's cube, but could it at least be an apple?
right. If it was another fruit, I can do this, but you gave me a rock. And so, yeah.
Speaking of that, and maybe a rock is the right transition to this. What's something that you had to release, even if it was good, in order to make space for something better? Maybe it was the equivalent of a rock in your life. What did you have to release to make space for something that you knew was going to be better?
Oh, grief. When my dad suddenly passed, a few Valentine's Day ago, that was not a rock. That was like somebody threw me a goose.
Mm.
So imagine you're juggling all of these things, being a wife, being a mom, homeschooling, a new entrepreneur, trying to figure out who I am and all the other hats that I was wearing. Someone threw me a goose in the midst of that. So I got a rock, then I got a goose. And with that goose, think about things that are like squawking around, making noise. Everything else falls because this goose is in your hand now. Um, And I let that goose because it was one of those things. My dad passed in his sleep. It wasn't anything wrong. He just went to the doctor. I talked to him Wednesday. He passed on
Wow.
Friday. And I held on to that goose for dear life. I'm just now letting that goose go.
Mm.
And so along with that, me just checking out, everything in my business shifted too. So for me, again, I'm faith-based. So I felt like in my business, everything moved like manna, right? I didn't have to go looking for it. People would find me. I went from having 12, $25,000 months into zero. Clients that were paying me all, they were paying me constantly. We were on retainer. They stopped. Oh no, I don't have it right now. So for a whole year and a half of me carrying this grief around and not realizing that this goose is making all of these distractions in front of me because I wasn't prepared for this goose, right? I can do apples, I can do, Rubik's cubes, but this goose was just so much and I couldn't bear it. But now I'm finally like, okay, you can sit down. You can come with me, walk with me, but now you're no longer the thing that's distracting everything because life happens,
Yeah.
right? Life happens. I miss my dad, but I'm okay with it now.
I'm glad that you've been able to process, and I'm both relate to and I'm sorry for the loss.
Thank you.
It's a incredibly difficult thing to deal with. My mother was the closest person to me, and I lost her many years ago now. But it took me a long time to let go of the goose. I think that's probably a good brand phrase for you. And speaking of that, if you think of maybe the people who are listening to this, and they feel overloaded or scattered, or maybe they've got a big goose in their arms. What is one thing that you would encourage them to do today that would allow them to breathe a little easier?
Ooh, um, and speaking of breathing, in this time, meditation didn't work for me. Um, Breathing only made me anxious. and I would hyperventilate trying to calm down. I would highly suggest, if therapy is not for you, you don't need someone to just to say yes. You need someone to actually help you talk through what you're going through as an entrepreneur. Because a lot of us believe that as an entrepreneur, it is a lonely road. It's only a lonely road if you don't allow yourself to be in rooms with other people like you.
Mm,
It's plenty of people like you. Surround yourself with other people, because the problem that you might be going through, the next business owner might be going through, that next startup could be going through, that next high worth individual could be going through. But if you do not put yourself in a place where you can have a consultant, a coach, a strategist, or just um, a person to lean on during this time that is non-judgmental, understands who you are as a whole, because we are a lot of things. And if they don't check off of all of those boxes, so like for me, I needed not just a person that helped me with business. I needed someone who could help me with my mind. I needed someone that can help, that understood me spiritually. I needed someone who thought like me and didn't think that my creativity was a bad thing, or they understood what a pink elephant I am, that they didn't try to force me back in the herd where I didn't belong.
mm.
And if I didn't have that, I know I wouldn't be where I am now. It took me a long time to find Dan. And thank you so much, Ezzy Redwood, for referring me to Dan, because he wasn't in my circle. He was in Ezzy's circle. And it took me a while to find him, but I'm very appreciative for Dan for that.
I'm incredibly grateful for that. I'm actually tearing up a little bit. I had to take a breath for a moment. Thank you for that. And I'm grateful to Ezzy as well. Ezzy's amazing. And I'm grateful to be part of that circle. If someone says 20 years from now, because of Angela, dot, 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 how do you hope that sentence ends?
I actually had that instance happen. Um, it was a young lady that came to work with me when I was pregnant with my oldest, so 20 years ago. And she was a high school student, and she was a foster kid. And we felt like, me and another young lady, her name is Shauna, felt like we wanted to do something special for her. It was prom season. And so she didn't have family to come and do the whole, you know, oh my gosh, it's prom. Let's get you ready and do your hair and the whole girly thing. So we went over to her orphanage and did that. We did her hair, we did her makeup, we made sure that she felt encouraged. And we kind of, we sent her off. And she said, Angela, how do you know when you're a woman? And I said, you just know. Fast forward 20 years later, her cousin was actually one of my closest friends. And we're at her funeral, and she said, "You know what, Angela? I remember when I asked that question and what you told me." She said it. I'm like, "Wow, I did not realize that what I said then would have impacted anyone." I
Mm.
was 22 at the time. I did not realize that I could affect anyone in that way. So I would love to continue to do that, to let people know that it's okay to be you and stand true to you and walk in your purpose, because no one else has that. No one else can save you but you. And as you grow and mature, realize everything that you already have is inside of you. We're just here to take the life that has given us all of these calluses and hard times and um, stresses and etc. And we're refining ourselves daily to become the jewels that we are, whether that's a diamond, a ruby, an emerald, whatever your jewel is already inside of you. So just keep working every day so you can just refine yourself to the beautiful being that you are.
It's incredibly beautiful, and it feels like a good place to wrap up. If our audience wants to connect with you, and oh, by the way, everyone listening, you should. And if they haven't already scanned your QR code, where is the best place for them to find you?
On LinkedIn. So on LinkedIn and Instagram, I am the real Angela Lewis. On social media platforms, you can find the Pink Elephant Solution, and you can scan the QR code behind me. You can join our free class that's every morning. I'm sorry, every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, where we go over the business basics. I have experts come on and tell you how to make sure that you build the best foundation for your business so you can begin to continue to become the expert in your industry.
I love it. Angela, thank you so much, not just for what you've built, but for how openly you've shared and for the nuggets of wisdom, but the true heart that you have expressed. And I know that you every day are doing what it takes to keep moving forward. And you do it when the way isn't always obvious or easy. And I don't know that the way is ever fully obvious or easy, but you excel at that resilience and fighting through. And for those of you who have been listening to this conversation, if the conversation hits home, and how could it not? Make sure to pass it along to someone else who could use a lantern like Angela as they find their way through the fogs of frustration in their life and business. And of course, I look forward to seeing you all soon. So until next time, be well, breathe well, and keep shining brightly, my friends.